and welcome to Connected, episode 394. It's made possible this week by our sponsors, Fitbod, Squarespace, and Capital One. My name is Stephen Hackett, and I have the pleasure of introducing Mr. Myke Hurley.
It is a pleasure of being introduced by Mr. Stephen Hackett, and I have the pleasure of introducing Federico. Oh, jeez. Oh, God. Oh, he messed it up, didn't he? Hello, Federico Gijovic. Welcome to the episode.
Ciao, Myke.
I'm so sorry. I'm working at like 60% capacity today.
Why?
So I don't feel very well.
Oh, no.
Dun, dun, dun.
Is it the Rona?
I'll find out this evening when I take a lateral flow test.
Oh, no.
But I have declined significantly throughout the course of the day, so find out next time.
Declined is not a good word when it comes to your health.
Yeah.
It's true, though. Like, I started off the day fine, and as the day has gone on, I feel worse and worse. I've had migraines. I'm a little short of breath at times, you know. It's not great over it, guys.
Yeah, you got it.
You don't know I got it. I could have lots of things, you know. We'll find out, you know, like follow up. Maybe by the time this episode is posted, we can let the world know if I have coronavirus or not.
What if we build one of those websites? It's like
does Myke have COVID?
And it's just a giant yes or a giant no in the middle of it.
I mean, but that would assume that I am always in a situation where this is like this likely for me, you know. I guess that's true for everybody, huh?
Have you tried the nasal spray?
No, that thing went in the trash, man. Do you know, underscore, the best person in the world. This, like, I'm going to talk about Widget Smith later on. Dave sent me a text, like, last Thursday morning, and he's like, are you okay? You sounded like you really messed yourself up. The only person to ask me, you know. This is why I love Dave. He's so hot. He's just such a big heart. He's like, you sounded like you really messed yourself up on Connected last week. Are you doing okay? Yeah, man, I'm fine.
Well, I thought it was all for the show. Like, you were actually sick?
Oh, I wasn't sick. I just didn't feel great after spraying the old nasal spray up my nose. Yeah.
I thought it was just... I thought you were in character at the time.
Well, I mean, I had a headache. I mean, I have a headache a lot after this show because we scream so much, you know?
Right.
But it was definitely made worse by the nasal spray.
I've made a page at 512pixels.net/does Myke have COVID.
Okay. This is...
Right now it says unknown.
I'm going to say this is cyberbullying.
No, it's not.
It is a type of cyberbullying.
Yeah.
In the modern age, for
sure. Did you not apply any CSS to this website?
No.
Why?
It's a one-word HTML file.
My coronavirus potentiality is not good enough CSS for you?
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff going on.
That has to be, like, think of, like, saying this sentence 3 years ago.
My coronavirus possibility is not good enough for CSS for you.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, as well, like 2 years ago, it would have been a much scarier question than today, right? Thank you, vaccines and modern science.
Yeah, that's true. I had to do it quickly.
All right, let's do some follow-up, shall we? So Lachlan sent in a paragraph from Apple's Environmental Progress Report. This is about their self-service repair program. It says, quote, we also announced self-service repair coming later this year for iPhone 12 and iPhone 13 for customers who are comfortable completing their own repairs. The program will start in the US and offer access to genuine Apple parts and tools, as well as a repair manual for the most common repairs. We'll be expanding the program to more products, starting with Mac computers, featuring M1 chips, and additional countries throughout 2022. Following a repair, customers who send in their used parts for recycling will receive credit back from their purchase. This was originally started as happening in early 2022. It's now, what month is it? April. And it's coming later this year. Also with other countries later this year. So busy year for the self-service repair program that is yet to launch.
But starting in the US doesn't usually inspire a ton of confidence to us European users.
But they do say, like, other countries, which I don't know how they're going to do all of this.
I honestly, this sounds like a very busy schedule, especially if later in the year they also have this massive rollout of multiple new Mac computers and new iPad Pros, iPhones,
Mac computers,
iPads, the new Apple Watch with a new version, and also this new what's it called, SSP, self-service repair. I mean, we'll see, right? Steven, you're gonna do something with this, right? You're gonna.
Oh, definitely.
You are a handy person.
Oh, I'm still planning on replacing the screen on my iPhone.
Right, you can do that.
Uh-huh.
Well, you could use Big Apple Buddy to get the parts from the US, even if you live in the UK.
I have my own Big Apple buddies.
What's your Big Apple Buddy?
Stephen.
John and John.
Oh, John,
Steven.
yeah. Is it okay for me to use John? I feel like, is he not exclusive to you?
No, you can use John. Anyone can use John.
Anyone, you say?
Well, provided I make an intro, It's it's one of those type of services.
This is uncomfortable.
I make an intro and then you can use John's services,
D Cookie in the Discord has provided me with some inline styling for the Myke COVID page.
Okay.
So if you refresh now, it's all centered and stuff.
So this is now a thing that we have just accepted, the Myke COVID page.
Steven, how bad are you going to feel if you have to change that to yes?
I'm going to feel pretty bad.
Yeah, because you did this,
No, I mean, technically, I didn't.
No, technically, you did create this website.
Yeah, but I didn't. Yeah, but I mean,
You created the website.
It's now a communal effort.
No.
It's me, it's D Cookie, and it's Pandemic all working together.
In general, COVID is a communal effort. Both good and bad.
That's true.
It's always a communal effort.
That's true.
I have important follow-up about my desk from many real users,
Oh, here we go, Federico.
All right, here we go. Yeah. The disorganized people have chimed in. Okay.
This comes from Illustro. Myke's daisy chain power strips aren't fire hazards. UK-style plugs have fuses in them, even on power strips, unlike American ones. Those fuses provide appliance-side protection and stop the cables from drawing too much current, preventing fires.
Yeah,
Jamie
what
also sent in a technology connections video on this very subject. Nobody is going to argue with technology connections, so you can argue with me.
You know what fuses can't stop, though? Ugliness.
Well, so on that note, Keegan sent in an incredible tweet thread of messy desks, people with messy desks, or, maybe genius artists, visionaries, like the first one being Steve Jobs. You can take a look at his messy desk there.
So you are comparing yourself to Steve Jobs?
Yes.
Okay, we have reached that point. Okay.
I mean, it felt like an inevitability at a certain point.
Right.
But now
that group of people,
right,
you, Steve Jobs, Walt Disney, I see, just this regular group of people.
At the intersection of messiness and podcasting.
Right, which is basically an intersection with just you that you have invented. It's just you standing there at the intersection.
Messiness and genius, which is all of these people here along with me.
My favorite thing about this thread is the tiny model of the Power Mac G5 that's on Steve's desk.
Yeah, what is that?
I assume it's just some sort of like internal, like this is what this is going to look like, and he liked it and just put it on his desk. I think it's great. I really want one.
Wait, did Steve Jobs had a Genelec amp?
Yeah.
Whoa, okay.
Is that big money?
Nice taste. Nice, yeah. Nice tasting music.
No, but he got rid of all of that when he created the iPod Hi-Fi, remember?
Right.
He said, I threw away all of my audiophile gear.
Yeah, sacrifice the Genelec.
He took an axe to it. Bang! I'm done with this now.
That's a 30-inch cinema display. That's the big boy.
Yeah, look how incredible this desk is. See, this is the desk of somebody that is too busy to think about, like, my cable management. My cable.
But you seem to associate being busy with being good.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Busyness is the source of goodness. Can I just say that you guys know how I feel about platitudes, right?
Yeah.
This is well worn here, well tried.
Yeah, you like using them in as many podcasts as possible.
It upsets me so much that they came up with that intersection of something and something phrase because it is used so much. The intersection of blah 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 and blah blah blah. Right? Apple is technology and liberal arts. Right? So many people use it, and it drives me mad. Like, not everyone has to do a thing because Apple did it, you know? You don't all have to say, oh, I'm at the intersection of this and this. No, you just leave it alone.
And that's how you feel about platitudes.
That's how I feel about that specific thing, yeah.
Right.
What are you two at the intersection of?
Me, I mean, at the intersection of Pokemon and tattoos. I feel like that's my niche.
I was going to say tattoos and automation.
My brother has a Pokemon tattoo. Federico, did I tell you that?
I am planning my next tattoo that is going to involve like a Pokemon aspect.
Yes. I love it.
I'm gonna show you the sketch in private because I still gotta make an appointment and everything, but I have the idea. I just gotta make it.
I'm excited
happen.
about this. Stephen, what are you at the intersection of?
Old computers and dad energy.
Yep. Big dad energy.
Okay, so all this to say, some people told you that you were right, and therefore you wanted us to know that you feel good about your choices.
Yeah.
Okay, we respect that. We do not accept them.
You know, I've been looking at my desks over the last few days, over the last week, and I'm like, these are good. These are good desks.
As long as it makes you feel good, like makes you feel good, that's all that matters, right?
This episode of Connected is made possible by Fitbod. Between balancing work, family, and everything else you have going on in life, it can be hard to keep fitness a priority. What you need is a program that will work for you, not against you. That's why you need Fitbod. Its algorithm learns about you, your goals, and your training ability, and will craft a personalized exercise plan that's unique to you. Their app makes it incredibly easy to learn exactly how to perform each exercise. They have these videos in there, so if you're not familiar with what the movement's supposed to be, you can see it from multiple angles, and it repeats on a loop, so you can kind of watch it as you learn. I really like that. Personal fitness is not about competing with other people. You don't want to look to others and try to stack up against them or just copy what they're doing. You need something that will work for you, and that's when it sticks, and that's when you'll see the results you're looking for. Fitbod uses data to create and adjust your dynamic fitness plan, and you'll have instant access to your own personalized routine in their fantastic app, so you can make progress on your goals from anywhere. True story, hand on my heart. Right before we sat down to record this episode, I did a workout with Fitbod. I use it several times a week. Fitbod really makes it easy to grow in your fitness because it keeps up with your reps and your weight, and you can make adjustments, and it asks you, was that easy? Do you think you could go further? And over time, it learns all that stuff and makes your workouts tailored to where you are and where you want to go. Everyone's fitness path is different, which is why Fitbod does so much work to make sure they customize things exactly to suit you. They make sure to learn from your last workout so your next will be even better, whether you're working out twice a day or twice a week. Fitbod even tracks your muscle recovery to make sure your plan is balanced with a variety of exercises to make sure you're not overworking anything. The app is simple to use, and it recently got updated with a fantastic new design. Like I said, it's got those video tutorials in there, and of course it integrates with your Apple Watch, Wear OS smartwatch, and apps like Strava, Fitbit, and Apple Health. Personalized training can be expensive, but Fitbod is just $12.99 a month or $79.99 a year. But you can get 25% off your membership by signing up at fitbod.me/connected. So go there now and get your customized fitness plan. That's FITBOD, fitbod.me/connected, and you'll get 25% off your membership. Our thanks to Fitbod for their support of the show and Relay FM.
So I have a small topic that I put in the notes now, and I'm seeing an unintentional through line.
Oh no!
Through the rest of the episode. So I have 5G now.
That's the COVID.
This is genuine. This is a genuine thing.
Yeah, you do, man.
That I have done.
Yeah, well. No, well, are you surprised? I'm sure you do have 5G now, buddy.
No, I've renewed my phone contract. because I kept going over my data cap. And I was like, I guess I should just get more data. And then when I looked at all of the deals, basically I could get unlimited data now for the less price than I was paying for my 12 gigabytes of data a month before. But now everything's 5G, right? So I now have 5G. I wasn't holding off for it. I just didn't care. And I ended up getting a plan. I paid for a plan to keep all of my usage the same when I travel, because that was another thing. Another reason I didn't want to change my plan was that, now that the United Kingdom has left the European Union, a lot of phone companies are trying to charge you for roaming in the EU again.
Lame.
And my plan was grandfathered in so that I wouldn't do that. But now this new plan that I've got has an extra little thing, like a benefit of that you get to use your minutes and data the same no matter where you are. So I have 5G now. So mostly it's the same. And at one point I had 300 megabits down when I was on a train. It's amazing. I don't care about the 5G at all. I just wanted the unlimited data. And it is weird to me why now that we can more quickly use more data has unlimited data plans come back. Unlimited data plans were not a thing in the UK for years.
Same here.
And now we have 5G. Now you can get unlimited data again. And I don't really understand why that's the case.
I think it's a way to charge you more and to pay for all this.
I'm paying less now than I was before. But I'm on a 2-year contract now. So,
there it is. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was very similar here in the US where in the early days of the iPhone, you could have unlimited data. And then when tethering, at least how it was here, if I remember correctly, once hotspot and tethering stuff came to iOS natively, remember that was a jailbreak? That was why I ran a jailbreak for years. And then they're well, you can have unlimited data, or you can go to a tiered data system and then you get tethering. So that was getting people off unlimited data. But you're right, now it's back. That's what we're on. We've got an unlimited data plan with 2 iPhones and an iPad on it, and 5G, baby. So has it revolutionized your life? Are you making breakthroughs in healthcare and industry?
Oh yeah, with zero latency too. You know what I mean? That's the real benefit. There's all these ads in the UK by EE, which is one of our bigger carriers, and they're we set up a air traffic control room in this house and landed a plane. It's this doesn't mean anything, right? I don't understand why this is a thing. What is the benefit to me with that? So I can land a plane from my bedroom?
Yeah,
if you want to, you can.
You got it, man.
I guess so, right?
It's
I guess I should get on that.
Aspirational, aspirational
That's
plane
true.
landing from home.
That's a really good point. Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, I have 5G now. I wasn't a particular holdout, but now I have 5G. You both have 5G, right?
Yep.
I do.
But
it's
Federico, we don't have the real stuff though, do we?
Oh no, we don't have millimeter wave.
Yeah,
but so few cities in the US have it anyway.
Yeah.
Myke, I was curious if you've noticed any impact on battery life moving, having that on and working.
I can't say I have yet, but it was something that was in my mind. I'm always talking about the excellent battery life I get on my iPhone, right? And I was wondering if that's the case. But I do wonder if that might be a millimeter wave thing more than a regular 5G. I don't know. I will keep my eye on that though. I don't think I've had enough real world testing of it. I've only been in the glory of 5G for 5 days.
The one thing I think it's nice about 5G is how Apple now lets you do more things on iOS with cellular data. If you have 5G, you now have fewer restrictions in terms of doing things like downloading heavy games and apps from the App Store or installing software updates, that kind of stuff. Because of 5G, you can now do it on iOS. And it's almost it kind of makes me laugh because for years I've had an unlimited 4G data plan because in Europe, compared to the US, it's so cheap these days to get unlimited data plans for relatively cheap. I pay 20 euros or something and I have unlimited 5G, which is wild.
Yeah, I pay £30 and have unlimited 5G.
Yeah. Which whenever I show my screenshots of my data plan to John, it's I'm very jealous of this. But for years, I've been able to do...
How often do you do that?
Occasionally to make him feel bad.
Fair enough. Good.
Like for years, I've had the freedom to do this, but it was only because of 5G that Apple was finally convinced that it was the time to allow for more cellular operations on iPhone and iPad. Which, I mean, sure, okay, do what you want, but so at least that aspect of 5G is nice. Everything else, sometimes I get the really, really fast speed, like 400 megabit down or whatever, but it doesn't really matter. I can't really tell the difference when I have 4G at 150 megabit down or 5G at 400. I mean, sure, it's fast, but like 4K videos on YouTube load at the same speed, and it doesn't really matter. So
all the stuff that I would want to access on my iPhone, like just on my iPhone when I'm not on Wi-Fi, LTE was fast enough, like to download whatever I needed to download or whatever, But like, and now like I've noticed like things I hadn't really paid much attention to before, I guess because I didn't have 5G. But there's like all these things in iOS, right, where you can be like, oh, if you want to, just download the software update over 5G instead of Wi-Fi or whatever, which is intriguing to me.
I don't think I told y'all. I had a kid at a dentist appointment or something, and the iOS beta dropped that had the Face ID mask unlock. Mm-hmm. I think we were like texting about it. I was like, oh, cool. I'll download this when I get home. But then like half an hour later, we were leaving and I got my phone in my pocket and it was super hot and rebooting. I didn't know it would download like the beta update over 5G. It had just done it in my pocket. I was like, oh, time to restart. Like, oh, I guess I have this feature now.
Yeah, I was looking at it the other day. Hold on, let me bring up the settings and I'll tell you what it says. But it's you can choose what you want it to do. So data mode, allow more data on 5G, may prefer 5G to Wi-Fi and use it for software updates, automatic iCloud backups, and higher quality media.
So there was a bit of news from Apple yesterday. You mentioned, Myke, the repair service thing that had come out in their environmental report. There's also some press around Apple's recycling program. Sarah Dietschy had a video on her channel where she got to go to a recycling center that Apple operates or is involved with, and Daisy, the phone taking apart robot, which was, I'm going to quote here, made from some of Liam's parts, which was the original robot.
I remember us talking about this.
It's the robot that ate Liam. Daisy ate Liam.
We had poured one out a couple of years ago, I guess 4 years ago, in 2018, when this was announced that Daisy was built from Liam's parts.
Yeah.
Poor Liam. Wasn't able to do what Daisy can do. This can do 200 iPhones an hour per robot. It's 1.2 million phones a year. But it seems like, in watching her video and reading some other stuff that came out yesterday, Apple's not running this program at full speed. Like, they still have capacity to do more, even with the current number of Daisy robots they have.
Daisy is bigger than I expected. It's like these four massive things sat next to each other, right? That was what I took from the video. Like, it's not just like one self-contained little thing. Like, it's like a whole process of machines, but they call it one unit.
So you could say it's daisy-chained.
I had a thing I wanted to bring up. I haven't watched this video because like Sarah was talking at the end and was talking about the fact that it does 1.2 million phones a year, each Daisy machine. It's 200 iPhones an hour, but apparently that's not running at full tilt, and Apple want more people to use the trade-in program so they can recycle more iPhones, right? So, but I feel like if Apple truly, really want this, they need to be more competitive with trade-in pricing. Now, this is just something that I've been aware of myself when it comes to selling phones or moving phones on. And I never go for Apple because I don't think that they give the best deals.
It's too cheap. Yeah, they don't give you enough money.
I sat down and looked at this a little bit. So I'll give you some examples. On Apple's website in the UK, they say they would give up to £490 for an iPhone 12 Pro Max. So I'm assuming that is a top-of-the-line storage iPhone in perfect condition, or good enough to perfect condition, right? If they're going to say to give up to. The same specification on a UK phone trade-in website called Mazuma, which I've used a bunch, you will get £595 cash.
Damn. Okay.
Apple's $490 is credit on the Apple Store.
Yeah, that's not good.
If you want to buy a new phone from Mazuma, they will give you £654 of credit.
Ooh.
So that's $654 compared to $490 in credit.
Why would you choose Apple?
Exactly. And I looked around a little bit more. £365 for an iPhone 12 versus £415 cash or £456 in credit. We're using the same thing. It gets more competitive as devices get older, but in everything I was checking, Apple never exceeds the credit amount. They will only seem to exceed the cash amount, where I would say most people probably would prefer cash, because depending on where you are in the process. I don't know. Or maybe, because it feels like Apple is able to pay less because people were buying the phones on their website and they just want the money off now so they can buy the phone, right? So they get to pay credit only and less. So I feel like if Apple truly wants to get people to recycle their iPhones with them, they should be paying the most money. Like, they should be outpaying everyone because it benefits them. They get parts that they can recycle for their own iPhones, and or if an iPhone is in good enough condition, just sell it on their refurb site, which I'm sure is one of the best places to get refurbs. And I know it's more expensive than everywhere else. So I feel like Apple should be the logical choice for iPhone trade-in, but they're not. And I don't know why. And I can only feel like when I look at something like this, the only thing I can take away is it's money, isn't it? They want more money. And that annoys me because it's like this side of the company will tell you should be recycling. But then the other will say, yeah, but we're not going to give you the best deal though because we would like more money. So that's my thought on this process, which I do find it a little bit disingenuous.
Yeah, it's also something that I've noticed in Italy. The trading prices from Apple are way too low. And that's why it's often like what I personally do and what my friends do. First, you try to sell your old iPhones or AirPods or iPads in your personal network of friends.
And they're never going to beat private sale, right? And they never should attempt to try and beat private sale prices because that's like a whole different thing.
Right. But
right?
then, even if you don't do the private sale, there's other websites that you can use. And I'm not talking about eBay, but there's tons of other websites that you can use for third-party trade-ins, like you just mentioned. And the same happens here in Italy as well. It's just not a convenient option to trading with Apple. So that whole recycling, policy that they have and this message that they want to get across, I appreciate it. I think it's an important thing that they are doing. But practically speaking, at least based on the people I know and that I see, and judging from this conversation, it seems that the same is happening in the UK. People are just not doing it because they want a bit of extra money if possible.
Yeah.
So
why would you, right?
Why would you do it? I mean, sure, you would do it because it's good for the environment. But, when we're talking about cash, it's also cash. And you got to entice people somehow,
But when you use these companies, it's still being recycled.
Okay, so that's
it's
good.
being sold to someone else, right? It's reused. And Apple have that choice. When you trade in, they can either, if it's in good enough condition, they're not going to recycle it. They're going to refurb and sell it, right? Or they can recycle it. So I just, if entire companies can be created and make money buying these phones from you that for a higher price than Apple, I don't understand why Apple can't be more competitive. £490 for an iPhone 12 Pro Max, at the 1 terabyte spec, is a ridiculous price, right? That is ridiculous to offer that compared to the $595 cash or $654 credit. And I just looked at one of these services. I'm convinced that, any half decent service will give you more money than Apple. And I just don't. I can't get my head around why that's the case. Like that this just doesn't compute for me. Like they should be able to be much more competitive than they are.
How cool would it be to go see that robot though?
Yeah, I'm sure it would be pretty sweet. Sarah did a great video. She's a great person for content like this. In the wrong hands, that's a really boring video, but she made a very engaging video.
This episode of Connected is made possible by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build your brand and grow your business online. You can stand out with a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything, products, services, and even content. Squarespace has you covered for all of it. With Squarespace, you can use insights to grow your business. If you've ever wondered where your site visitors and sales are coming from and which channels are the most effective, you can analyze all of that in Squarespace. Once you have that data, you can improve your website and build a marketing strategy based on things like your top keywords or the most popular products and content. You can stand out in any inbox with Squarespace email campaigns. Why not encourage your visitors to sign up as email subscribers and start them on the journey to becoming loyal customers? You start with an email template and customize it by applying your brand ingredients like site colors and logo, plus built-in analytics measure the impact of every message sent. The other day, I needed to build a single page thing for somebody. It's a nonprofit, and they're doing this like pretty cool fundraiser, and they just want to send people right to that page. So it's like a single page with some information about the fundraiser, and then Squarespace has this really cool feature called the donate block, and you can set that up. You can have suggested amounts. So say that you want people to donate $10, $20, $30, or $50. You can customize all of that. And on the back end, each of those donation blocks has its own name. And so when you look at your donation report, you can see what money is flowing where and to what campaign or what project that money should go to. It's all built in. You're not having to put things together from like different components. Squarespace just has all of it in one place. Head on over to squarespace.com/connected for a free trial with no credit card required. When you're ready to launch, use the offer code CONNECTED to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com/connected and the code CONNECTED to get 10% off your first purchase and to show your support for the show. Our thanks to Squarespace for their support of Connected and Relay FM.
All right, we can just blame that I'm feeling a little under the weather today, that I'm bringing a selection of gripes to this episode.
All right.
My second gripe is that Twitter NFT spam is out of control.
Oh, we're talking about NFTs. I love it. Okay.
Have you guys been getting these? Every day
No.
I get a handful of accounts tagging me.
Not really.
Oh my God, this is happening to me constantly. Just check my Twitter replies and you'll see it. Like,
okay.
Like I'm blocking these accounts and reporting them, but every day I get a handful of accounts that do not follow me.
NFT.
They randomly tag me to, I don't know, try and spread the word about some stupid NFT project, or they're like trying to win an NFT giveaway or whatever. Like it's some growth hacking nonsense. Like, and it's driving me crazy. Like this is the kind of, like I have two parts here. Like one, this is the kind of stuff that will only continue to turn people off of this whole idea, right? Like that if there's any good to the idea of NFTs, these like things that just make it seem more like scams and cash grabs is just gonna just continue to change people's opinions on them. And I just think Twitter should be resolving this. Like it's so clearly spam. I think I saw someone say that like the easier way to fix this is just tweets that all they do is just tag other people with nothing else should just not be sent. They should be immediately flagged as spam. And like, because why would you need to do this, right? You just send a tweet to someone, you say nothing except tag 6 handles in them. Like, what use is that to anyone? That's just spam under any sense. And like, it reminds me that you can say, oh, you shouldn't make such blanket like statements like that if you're Twitter, like, oh, there could be general uses. But we all remember when Twitter disabled sending links in DMs for years because they couldn't get their stuff together. So I think they should do this too. Yeah, it's. Did you see any of these, Federico, when you were looking?
I get the people with a ETH in their username, and I always assume they're spammers.
But like, did you?
I guess not.
Did you search my replies?
Yeah, I did. I see Tasty Bones NFT.
Yeah,
is an account that mentioned you Tasty Bones, great name.
I get these every day. Mostly when I wake up in the morning, I block like 3 Twitter accounts. Like, I hate it.
Well, you must have fallen prey to some crypto marketing scheme.
As if my email spam that I get all the time wasn't bad enough. Now I've been locked
Myke,
up into some crypto.
Myke.
Yeah.
I have a great suggestion for someone you could put on your show. They wrote this book,
Oh, jeez.
and I think it'd be a really good fit for your show, Analog.
Don't you want to talk to the CEO of our company about how the blockchain is the future of podcasting?
So I'm referring a conversation I had in Cortex. You can go check it out if you want to. Do you know someone sent me an email, like to say about that episode? I'm a PR person for an expert on email who can help you with this. It's just like I don't even understand what's going on.
An email expert. No, hold on. An email expert
To help me with the problem, and they should come on the show to talk about it.
But an email expert as a PR...
So like a PR person contacted me to be like, like these things that I talk about them. Hey, you should have this person on your show.
Right.
It was like to talk about your email problem and to help you with that.
No, I'm just thinking about the structure, like the success that you must have had as an email expert to be represented by a PR firm contacting podcasts on your behalf. I mean, these persons must be pretty legit, Myke. I mean, do you have a PR person sending emails on your behalf?
Do you know what? I don't actually. That's a really good point. I should do that.
You could be a keyboard consultant with a PR person who reaches out to other podcasts and be like, hey, do you want to talk to this keyboard expert?
I'm just bringing all the gripes today.
Do you think that this problem of NFT garbage on Twitter will get better or worse when Elon owns it?
I don't think it will make a difference.
It'll get worse regardless. I mean, it's pretty gross already when you go to your profile page and you get this huge pop-up in your face saying, oh, now you can have hexagonal profile pictures with NFTs. And I'm like, please remove this from my eyes and don't make me see this ever again. James says that Federico is now your PR person. Look, I'll do it. I will send one email on your behalf.
Okay.
So choose your target carefully. And I will send an email as your PR handler saying, I represent Mr. Myke Hurley, a UK-based keyboard manufacturing expert.
I'm not a keyboard manufacturing expert.
Well, we gotta upsell you somehow, right? That's the trick.
Oh.
I can put together a nice bio, say that you have multiple connections in the supply chain for keyboard manufacturing, that kind of stuff. I mean, none of it has to be true.
I'm not dreaming big enough.
You just gotta make it sound true. Yeah, you gotta fake it till you make it. And that's how we put you on a podcast, as if that was needed for you, but still.
While we're talking about Twitter and Elon, I don't want to talk about Elon owning Twitter, but I do in general agree with the idea that Twitter should become a private company again. Just like in general. I think that they cannot run themselves in the way that they are. Like, I think that has been proven over time. Just like as a business, they have never seemingly been able to keep their stuff together for long enough. And I think having shareholders and being like a publicly traded company, I just think is a distraction that they don't need. Like, they need to get rid of ads, right? And just charge everyone to use it, like $10 a year, and then just focus on that. Like, they are just a company that just cannot seem to truly do anything right for really that long. And I know that they have a ton of like really talented people there, like engineers and stuff. Like, I know people that work there. The problem is their leadership. Like, they just can't seem to be able to do anything. And a lot of people have been pointing this out recently because of everything that's going on. Like, nobody on Twitter's board tweets. Like, all the board members, they don't care about the platform at all. They just want it to be something it's never going to be. Like, and I hope that this whole thing leads to them just becoming a private company in some way with good leadership, and they can try and get their stuff sorted out. Because on their current trajectory, like, it's just bad. That's my opinion on the matter.
Would you like to be placed on a podcast to talk about this? Federico has a lot of experience in getting this done.
Yeah, I would love to. If someone could get me on some kind of.
I can get you on one of those business podcasts.
Yeah, someone needs to get me on a business podcast.
I have that friend of mine running the International Business Podcast.
I feel like this is a reference to something, and I cannot remember it.
I mentioned this on the show before. How this person I realized is now running a podcast on LinkedIn, and they got in touch with me a while back.
Right. Well, LinkedIn have a podcast network now.
Well, I don't know exactly the technical details, but this person that I know from my teenage, when I was in a band years, this person now runs the International Business Podcast. That's the name. And it's one of those podcasts that, a ton of people on LinkedIn seem to engage with, as they say. And they have guests on the show to talk about business, projects and companies and equity and whatever.
Is this person's name Leonardo?
Yes.
Yeah, I found it.
Yeah, it's the International Business Podcast.
Do you want to be a great international leader?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I do.
Do you want to be a leader, Myke?
It's based in Shanghai.
Yeah, he lives
expecting.
there now. He lives there now.
Huh.
Actually, it was very nice recently when he sent me a DM, because we actually keep in touch. He's actually a great guy. But I just find the name funny. But he's actually a great person. And he sent me a DM it's like, hey, Ticci, my boss today showed me this, open the Mac App Store on our computers, and he's like, hey, do you know this guy from Italy? And it was my interview on the App Store, that
That's
I did
fun.
for Apple. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh man, and it was translated. It was localized in Chinese, because they localized the interview for a bunch of international markets, which is why I got a second wave of comments from my friends, like from Italy, from Spain, and this guy from China, because it was later localized in different regions, and that was cool. But anyway, all this to say, you could be on one of these business podcasts.
Yeah, I feel like I would get lost though. In this environment, I'd say whatever I want, you know what I mean? And it doesn't really matter if I'm right or wrong, because this is our show. But if I take this to somewhere else and they're like, so what do you think the average revenue per user should be? You know what I mean? They ask me a question like that. And I'm going to be like, 7. I just think 7.
Well, no, the perfect reply to that is like, I'll tell you what, John, it's not high enough. That's a perfect answer.
Oh, Federico, you could go on CNBC with stuff like that, man. You're ready to go. Mr. Vitici, he's back again.
I can wing anything. You just say what they want to hear.
Right.
That's the trick.
I'll tell you what, it's not enough. I think all shareholders can agree that currently the average revenue per user is on a decline.
They're not thinking big enough.
They're
And
not
that's one of the
reaching their
greatest
true
threats
potential.
that Twitter is facing. They're not thinking big enough. I'll tell you that, John. That's how you do it. And you say their first name, so you sound more approachable and friendly to the
Tell
host.
you that, John.
That's how you do it.
I got a lot to learn from you, Federico. You really should be my PR manager.
I have a way with people. People like me, or so I hear.
Man of the people.
Exactly. Thank you, Stephen.
You're welcome.
Anyway, question. Should Relay be a public company?
No.
Okay.
No.
The answer to that is no.
No.
The only answer to that being yes is if it means that we can just make a truckload of money and then go away. That's like an exit. That's what they call it, right, in the business. Let me tell you that, Federico.
What's your exit strategy?
I was thinking about a nap this afternoon.
Wait, you're going to exit via a nap? Oh, Stephen, no, don't go into the light. Stay with me, buddy.
So I had this thought last night. I was watching, no spoilers, don't worry about it, but I was watching the Severance finale. Anyway, I had this thought. Isn't going to sleep kind of like a severance procedure? If you think about it, Do you remember
that video Gray made?
Yes. I've been thinking of that video throughout the entire season of Severance.
Yeah, that's interesting. What's the video? It's like
you were two?
You are two. Yeah.
You are two. Ooh, creepy.
It's very upsetting.
Yeah, it was one of his best videos.
Is that the one with the Star Trek? Is Star Trek in that one?
No, that's the transporter
Transporter
thing. Yeah. No, UR2 is about the left and right. What are they called? Hemispheres of the brain, whatever.
No, yeah. That's that one, but I'm not thinking about that one. There's a video that he made about when you go to sleep.
Yeah, I think that's in the transporter video.
Okay.
Oh, that's
the one I'm thinking
yeah.
of. Like that when you go to sleep, you're the same person as when you wake up.
Yeah. Are you?
I don't know. I mean, how would I know?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, yeah, go watch Severance. Great show. What are we talking about? Like, what is the topic right now?
We were talking about Twitter having NFT spam.
Right. Okay. So, we're sorry you have spam.
Let's talk about Widgetsmith.
Oh yeah, this is a good thing. This doesn't annoy
You can
me.
now have NFTs in your widget. No, I was kidding.
Oh my god, can you imagine? Like, I know Dave is more mainstream now. Can you imagine? It's like introducing NFT Smith. Of all the people I know, underscore would be the least likely, right? Like, I feel like I would be the most surprised
Underscore
if David
coin.
woke up one day. Oh my god, underscoring.
Underscore.
Underscoring.
Underscoring.
How would you like to be on a podcast about your new cryptocurrency?
Hey Dave, if you start a cryptocurrency, you can come on the show and talk about it. You're the one and only
Should we
person.
do a cryptocurrency scam? Like, should we be scammers?
Not on the air.
Like, is that something that we should try?
It is so funny that, like, do you remember when NFTs were first a thing?
Yeah.
And I was going to make one of the clip of Steven saying it's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got annoyed of how complicated it was and just didn't do it in the end. And I'm so pleased that I didn't do that, because now that would just be tied to me forever and Steven. But anyway, so Widgetsmith added a couple of different widget types. One is an on this day photo widget. And then there's one, it's kind of split into two, which is air quality and pollen count widgets. And I've added one of these. I've added a photo one and the pollen one to my home screen. And I just think that they're excellent additions to Widgetsmith.
Yeah. I love the on this day feature in day one. And that's a widget that I have set up on my phone. But that requires that I put something in day one. And what's cool about this Widgetsmith feature is it just uses anything in your photo library. And when you tap on it, it comes up with this really cool UI that shows you the date. So like it says 420 at the top, blaze it. And then you can scroll back through the years and see all of your photos for that given day. It's such a smart user interface for this. And I don't use a lot of photo widgets through Widgetsmith because they can't open in the Photos app, which is generally what I want it to do. But this one, like he's built this view that I don't care. Like I'd love seeing this is 420 on 2021 and 2020 and 2019 and scroll all the way back. It's really well done.
So I'll give you a little... David did actually add a feature, which I don't really think he spoke about very much, or I missed it. I know this because he showed me. So now if you have a widget that's, say, pulling images from an album or something, when you tap on that widget, it brings up a view that then shows chronologically from newest to oldest all of the photos that widget has shown you.
That's cool.
So he's made this stuff a lot better, and it jumps straight into it, right? So if you're like, oh, I thought I saw a photo there a minute ago and it changed and I went to see it, you can now tap it and you can see these are all the ones you've been shown. But what I like also about this is this widget in Widgetsmith works more like how I want the widget that Apple makes to work. But we spoke about in the past that now sometimes it opens a video instead, which is not what I want, right?
Did you see how one of my memories last night, it said dining and it was the picture of an eyeball?
It was a picture of an eye, yeah. Feasting on those eyeballs. Feast your eyes, Federico.
Oh.
Yeah, literally, yes.
Feast your eyes on this.
Yeah, it happened to me just the other night. I was on my phone and a photo came up. I was like, oh, I want to show this to Mary. And I tapped it and all of a sudden, country music is playing out of my phone to pictures of my daughter. It's like, why? Why is it still a stupid slideshow?
Country roads
to the Is it always country music for you, Steven? It's either country music or blues. This is all it ever is.
West Virginia. I don't know the lyrics anymore. I'm sorry.
So yeah, I like these. The pollen and air quality ones. I don't use the air quality one. I use the pollen one. And I didn't know that there were different types of pollen. Tree pollen. What is it? Tree pollen, flower pollen, and it's tree, grass, and weeds. Blaze it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I see what you did there. Underscore.
No, you didn't do that. So yeah, and now I know when there's high pollen count days, which is helpful for me this time of year to know if there's a high pollen count. But I would say like my top tip is if you're walking through somewhere and it's high pollen count, put your mask on for COVID. And it helped me so much last summer. Like, you're not breathing in the pollen. I mean, I wear glasses too, which also helps with the eyes, but, you know.
No, it's a great update. He continues to do such a good job at adding new features to this. I would have run out of ideas years ago, but he keeps finding ways to add, like, really valuable new features to this app.
Well, hey, look, if there's one thing we've known about Underscore over the time we've known him, is the man always has ideas.
It's true.
Right? He is an ideas person, but now all of those ideas are just in Widgetsmith.
He's not like he stands at the corner of the intersection of ideas and widgets.
And widgets. Yeah. That is very true, actually. He does stand at that exact intersection.
People are still into widgets, right? Like regular people.
I am.
Oh. Well, I mean, you're not a regular person.
I am a regular person.
No, we talked about this.
Right? I'm the regular person. But I mean, I don't know about regular people. I know I am.
I think, I always look at phones of either my friends or like sometimes I peek, right? I'm a peeker, right? I peek at other people's phones, like, I don't know, like at a bar, like a restaurant or something.
Mm-hmm.
I just, especially when they have an iPhone, because I wanna be in touch with the world, with the people. And I still see the custom home screens with like the widgets with the same color of the wallpaper. People having the like the widgets with the inspirational phrases. I have seen Widgetsmith in real life in Italy, which also I always think it's funny. Like, I know the guy. But yeah, it seems that people are still into widgets, despite, iOS 15 not really building on top of the success of 14. It also reminds me of something that I believe was also Lachlan from Follow Up, one of our mods in Discord. He from the Follow Up, Lachlan, they mentioned how it was this really interesting thread that Lachlan posted, like how Apple commits to features for the next version of iOS, essentially in the summer, when they don't know yet whether a feature of the current version that will ship in September will be successful or not. Meaning, when they locked in the features for iOS 15, they didn't know that iOS 14 widgets were going to be the massive success that they were. Therefore, that's why iOS 15 likely didn't have anything new for widgets, right? That is a fascinating problem to have, where you have effectively this 1 year delay between shipping a feature and knowing, like for real, whether you can build additional features on top of it. The theory being, I guess we're going to see new widget stuff in iOS 16, because now Apple had the time to realize that, oh, well, I guess we have a massive success on our hands and we got to do new things for it. The question is it still relevant, right? And I think it is. I think widgets and home screen customization is always relevant.
To bring them up again, I think Underscore spoke about this publicly. I think Under the Radar too. Like, for him, photo widgets are where was what people are using Widgetsmith for, by and large. Like, they try lots of things, potentially, but it's photo stuff that people land on. And that doesn't surprise me. Like, I have a bunch of photo widgets now on my iPhone. I have them in stacks, right? They're like coming from different places, maybe different albums or whatever, but like, that's the big thing. It does remind me, and it's a long time follow-up, I bet the both of you have not ever opened that Locket app again, right?
No, never. I
deleted it. Therefore, proving my point of why I didn't want to add the two of you to my group, because then now I've removed the sanctity of the two-way Locket sharing with my wife. They did actually set up a thing where you could choose who saw them, but I don't want to deal with that, because if I have the two of you in there, I got to do like a whole thing, and now I don't have to worry about it because it's just me and Nadina sends the pictures back to each other.
Well, maybe we uninstalled it because you didn't Add
Right, but
us.
you had each other and you weren't sending things to each other, were you?
That's true.
Yeah. Still a fantastic app. It still gets updated. I added emoji reactions. Locket is great. Like, it's great. Love widgets, man.
This episode of Connected is also made possible by Capital One. Have you ever hit a technical snafu while shopping online? Has filling out payment fields given you a headache? Has mobile banking app that you really need to use, has it been down in your moment of need? Well, Capital One believes everyone deserves better banking. This means easier access to their money and more security. That's why Capital One is investing in machine learning. Machine learning allows Capital One to do cool stuff like fight fraud with random forest with models that quickly detect suspicious activity that makes it faster to alert federal investigators. And they identify how mobile app outages happen with causal models. Keeping a mobile app up and running doesn't happen by accident. Anomaly detection and incident response help determine why outages happen so engineers can quickly remedy them. And Capital One is speeding up online shopping with machine learning at the edge. They make shopping with virtual card numbers smoother and more secure. This technology is based on logistic regression models running inference in the browser. It identifies payment fields, which helps making those virtual card numbers easier and faster. The potential of machine learning is so big. See how Capital One is using machine learning to create the future of banking. Search machine learning at Capital One or check out the link in the show notes. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Okay, it is just a really 6-7 weeks before WWDC, and that means that the rumor mill is churning, and we want to focus today on the possibility of iPad multitasking changes. This is something that Apple does every couple of years. Last year, we really got, I think, what the three of us would agree on as a refinement to what they had before. But there's this Bloomberg article talking about this, and then Federico, I think you had some notes on the history of this, and then what you think about some of these ideas that are being floated around.
Yeah, I did this thread on Twitter. What was it, last week or 10 days ago? About the.
Did you NFT it?
Yes, I minted the thread.
You did use the little cotton spool emoji, so.
Yeah.
That's how we know it's a real thread.
You can get it for $1 on our blockchain DApp. That's what they're called.
DAO, isn't it? DAO?
No, DAO is a
DApp?
decentralized organization. The DApp is a decentralized app. So we have a DApp. Yeah. I'm into this. All right. It's always.
Oh, are you? That's good.
Well, no. Look,
That's
really
good. You heard it here first. Federico is into the blockchain.
No. Let me rephrase.
T-chain.
I like to know the enemy. That's what I meant.
Oh my!
All right. I like to be informed.
Okay, did you hear that? Hey, everyone on the blockchain, Federico Vitici is your enemy.
Yeah, I don't care. Just do whatever you want.
Block stories.
Look, I really think it's a silly thing, but I like to know why I think it's a silly thing. I like to be informed. That's what a regular person should do. Don't distract me from my podcasting process. Okay. So I had this thread on the history of iPadOS multitasking. Even before it was called iPadOS, it was just iOS. And with version 13, it became iPadOS. And what I realized is that they have this schedule, right? Where every couple of years, they revise what they've done before on the iPad, starting with, when we got the first version of Split View that had the weird app picker, right? Remember that when in iOS 9, when Split View launched, you could split the screen between two apps, but there was no drag and drop and there was no dock. You had to swipe in from the right side of the screen, and you had that vertical list of thumbnails with the icons of the apps. That was kind of weird. And then in iOS 11, they introduced the drag and drop system that was very heavily criticized at the time. Lots of folks stopped using the iPad because of this touch-heavy version of multitasking. And then every couple of years, they've refined the system. In iPadOS 13, they introduced multi-window, and then in 2020, mid-cycle of the iPadOS 13 release, they launched the Magic Keyboard with the pointer, the system-wide pointer with trackpad support. And last year, they refined. They didn't really do anything. They refined the system with keyboard shortcuts, the multitasking menu, which is the new tray of icons that you see. You don't have to use drag and drop anymore if you don't want to, but that version of multitasking is still there. And they also introduced a couple of features that I don't think they have really picked up in usage. For sure, like the new center windows. Have you guys seen center windows in any third-party iPad application?
No.
Because I haven't.
Because it's honestly, it's a pointless feature.
I really don't understand why it's there.
Like, so what?
So, yeah, cool. It opens in the middle of the screen. All right.
Like, what is that supposed to do for me? Like, realistically,
nothing, because that center window, which you can get by, say, opening an email message from Apple Mail in a separate window, or a note from Apple Notes. That window, it's not like you can drag it to the side, or it's not like free-form windowing. It's just there.
No, you're best off just using like the compose sheet, take the full use of that application, and then use that application in split view or whatever if you really want to, like, or just go full screen on that app and just like, I don't understand the center window thing. It's not surprising to me that it doesn't seem to have been adopted.
And the other one was the shelf, which of course is not the shelf that I wanted to have in iPadOS. The shelf I wanted was more like a clipboard manager of sorts, like a place where you can drag and drop things to store them for later. Instead, Apple's shelf is a window manager, essentially. It's a little tray. It's like a little shelf for your open windows. It's pretty disappointing, and it actually lost functionality from iPadOS 14, which used to be that you could undo closing a window. Like if you accidentally closed an app window in iPadOS 14, you could undo that. There was a button that said reopen closed window. The shelf doesn't have that button anymore. So if you accidentally close a window, it is gone forever. So after this brief recap, we are left with this rumor from Mark Gurman at Bloomberg. And Gurman is saying that essentially the iPadOS will get a new app picker. That's all that Gurman knows for now. And we did a thing with the Twitter Spaces, like a podcast that is not really a podcast, but it's a Twitter Spaces thing. And Mark said, once again, all I know is that the iPad is getting a new app picker. But what would you like to see in iPadOS 16, he asked. And I know, right, like I can say before we get into it that the things I want to see will not happen. And I kind of sort of already know up front that I will be disappointed. Because over the past year, really, it's not that I'm being pessimistic. It's not that I'm being down on the iPad. I'm just being realistic, I think. And I feel like, and this feeling has grown stronger, again, over the course of 2021 and 2022, the bold vision that I'd like Apple to take with the iPad is maybe too bold for them to follow. And they are content with leaving the iPad in the middle, between an iPhone, between a Mac, not as flexible as pro iPad users will want it to be.
Right.
And if that's true, and I'm still, I will never lose hope. But also, I don't want to believe in these things I will mention too much because I don't want to be disappointed again, right? And I've been disappointed many times over the years at WWDC, especially last year. All I'm saying is, I think Apple is seeing even the iPad Pro, even the device that has Pro in its name, as less Pro than a MacBook Pro. And I guess maybe the answer is that there are multiple shades of Pro, right? Almost as if, you can be a Pro on the iPad, but you can only do so much. Or you can be a Pro on a Mac and you can do all these other things, which honestly is not a good look. I think, like to say, like, I don't know. At times, I feel like if you want to be a pro on iPad, you are a lesser pro. And that's not nice.
I see what you're saying. I can see an argument for like the type of professional that uses each device being different, like as with being an argument. But I would say that like I think iPadOS doesn't actually serve any type of professional fully.
No, it does.
Except artists, maybe.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like the thing I've learned with Apple and how they pitch iPadOS, because I also see this in how their PR people talk about it and explain certain things to you.
Yeah.
In how they always want to highlight, but we have incredible artists doing work on iPad Pro. And I get it. Like, I get it that there's artists and photographers and these very specific professions that you keep mentioning over the years, right? And they're always the same professions over the years that are doing excellent work on the iPad Pro. But my question is that it? Like, is that all it can do? I don't think it is. I don't think it should be. If you ask me, I think iPadOS is the most exciting platform that Apple has. If you were to believe in it as the sort of flexible modular OS that is unlike iOS and it's unlike macOS. So I personally feel like something that Mark Gurman wrote in the Power On newsletter as a follow-up to the Twitter Spaces thing. He mentioned the idea of the iPad Pro almost switching its OS into a Pro mode when you dock the iPad Pro at a desk, maybe with an external display, maybe with an external keyboard and trackpad. Now, Mark is one of the people who believe that iPad should run macOS, and I strongly disagree with that. But the idea of iPadOS doing more to adapt sort of dynamically to the context that you're using the iPad, that is a fascinating idea, and it's exactly what I would like Apple to explore. I know that, Myke, you don't like expressions, you don't like people coming up with their own terminology for things.
No, that's not what. No, I'm fine with some. I don't like when things are overused. That's what I don't like.
Well, maybe I overuse it, but I keep using this expression of like the iPad as a modular computer. And if there's a better,
no, I like that one.
If there's a better way to say it, I will switch to that. But for the sake of the conversation,
no, I think it's good. People often, like John Syracuse says, naked robotic core, right? I prefer modular computer. I prefer the Federico Viticci one. Modular computer, I think, is a nicer sound.
Thank you. So I really believe in that, and I really think that is that concept is where the vastly underused potential of the iPad lies. I don't think Apple is doing enough when it comes to embracing the nature of the iPad, meaning this tablet can become other things. And I don't think they're doing enough in software to let it become multiple things.
Yes, I agree with you so much on this. Like this is the exact thing, right? Of like what makes the iPad exciting is just this thing that you can attach other stuff to and it can work differently. But they, as you say, they don't go far enough.
They don't go far enough. Imagine, this may sound silly, but bear with me. Imagine if Kirby, the Nintendo character, could suck in enemies, but couldn't take on from their abilities. That's what the iPad is. It's a Kirby that cannot absorb abilities from enemies. In this case, the enemies will be the accessories. But that's the idea.
Wow.
It only goes so far. And they give you the bare minimum, right? They gave you the pointer. And sure, you have a system-wide pointer that natively supports iPadOS UI elements, but it doesn't do anything more. Like, you have a pointer, but it's not like the iPad is saying, oh, I see you are at a desk with a trackpad and maybe an external monitor. Well, let me switch up a few things in how you manage Windows, for example. I see that you have an external display connected. Let me give you the space to place more windows on that display, right? And it's that idea that makes me feel so sad. Honestly, I'm not even mad. I'm just, I'm not upset. I'm disappointed. I'm like the parent looking at their child. You know what? I'm just disappointed. And in this case, I'm disappointed because I can see the potential. I can see this really beautiful idea of what if the same computer could be many types of computer, and they're just not doing it. So let's get down to the specifics. I will point people to this excellent, I think it's a thread now.
It's 2 threads, I think.
2 threads. Let's say, okay, so from
they'll both be in the show notes.
Parker Ortolani. Parker used to work at 9 to 5 Mac, and now I believe they're a producer at Vox Media, product manager of Vox Media. So Parker does some really excellent concepts for all kinds of things. I've always liked Parker's visual concepts for like apps or devices, whatever. And in this case, Parker posted this really incredible iPadOS 16 concepts. And now the thing with concepts is it's easy to make a concept, right? You're not actually building the OS. You don't have boundaries. You don't have restrictions. You can think of anything you want and you can make it happen because all you need to do is design it. That's the thing with concepts. It's easy because you're not actually building the software. But some concepts are bad. Some concepts are terrible. Some concepts are great because they show a lot of thought that went into designing them with as many restrictions and boundaries as you can. And this one by Parker is one of the great ones because it shows how Apple, in theory, could take advantage of the modularity of the iPad to build software features that follow along with your use case of the iPad. For example, Parker imagined this radial, like circular menu for additional tools shown around the tip of the pencil, around the tip of the Apple Pencil. So like a context menu for when you double tap the pencil. And I mean, the gesture doesn't matter. This is all theoretical. But the idea of what if you could have this interface that adapted contextually to the tip of the Apple Pencil, and that gave you more tools like open settings or take a screenshot or change colors. Like, this should exist. Like, why isn't this, it's fun. I can't believe no one is talking about this. But
they should
why
put a button on the Apple Pencil, though. Like, there's that tapping gesture. Like, no, put a physical button. Press the button.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yes. It reminds me of the Microsoft Surface knob and like that little thing that you put down on the screen and you get this radial menu around it. That was great. That was like more of that. Similarly, we got Quick Note last year in iPadOS, right? Which only Apple Notes. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That thing. Yes. So it's an Apple Notes only feature where you can swipe in from the bottom right corner or bottom left corner of the screen to take a quick note from anywhere. Fantastic feature that shows some potential for multitasking maybe. And Parker imagined this, again, another kind of like circular menu where, like, what if you could swipe from the bottom right corner of the screen and you had an app picker for different apps that you could use in this popover mode. Mm-hmm. And that's the idea. The idea is Quick Note is like picture-in-picture for Windows, if you think about it. It's a notes window that is running in a picture-in-picture mode. That mode should become available to every developer that wants to use it. You should be able to open with just one gesture any kind of window you want and resize it with limitations to any corner of the screen you want it. Now, I'm not saying that iPadOS should get free-form window resizing. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying that Apple should believe in something that maybe they have not done enough, which is take a feature from macOS, right? And maybe simplify it, maybe give it new limitations, but adapt an old idea to the modern nature of the iPad. They have done it with split view. They have done it with files. They have done it with the dock. They've done it with keyboard shortcuts. They should do it with windowing as well. I'm not saying you should be able to drag the pointer to a corner of the screen and manually resize a window. I'm saying maybe there's a way to do window resizing with this like floating popover design that has, I don't know, presets for window sizes. You know, like it's not like you can freely resize a window, but you have more than, one option or two options.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's external displays. That is I think the biggest problem right now, which is a lot of pro iPad users really bought into the idea, myself included, of you get an iPad Pro, you can use it as a tablet, you can use it as a laptop thanks to the Magic Keyboard, but if you are at a desk, you can now use it as a workstation. Except the latter didn't really come true at all, because you plug an iPad into an external display and it does nothing. Or rather, it does the basic mirroring. It doesn't give you anything special. Other companies have tried this before. What's it called? The Samsung Dex?
Dex.
Is it that?
Yep.
Dex, right? The idea that you have a portable device and it's a tablet or a phone, but then when you dock it at a desk, it gives you a desktop environment, right? That, I think, is something that Apple could do much more elegantly, much more natively with iPadOS than any other company. And I really believe that. But will they? And that's what I find kind of sad, because they've had multiple opportunities over the years. I mean, the iPad Pro, it's not a young platform anymore. The iPad Pro will turn 7 in November of this year. 7 years of iPad Pro.
Wow.
And we still have split view and slide over. And now I guess we have the dock and multiple windows. But I ask you, is that enough for 7 years of iPad Pro?
The more we talk about the iPad's situation, if you will, I mean, the more I really come back to believing like the core problem here is that they're trying to solve user interface issues for a super broad set of people. Mm-hmm. And they've got to have an iPad, that sells for $329 that it's a bunch of kindergartners are going to use. Yep. And they also need to sell an iPad that somebody like you, Federico, wants to run his business off of, and a user interface and a set of features that scales to that wide of an audience. The Mac has the same problem, but the Mac is 40 years old, and so the problems are, even if they're not solved, they are what they are on the Mac, right? And people understand those more traditional computing methods. And Apple wants to reinvent those for the iPad. I think that's great, but they've got to find a way to do it where it works for everybody. And I don't envy that problem, but at the same time, I totally agree with you that they should be bolder in what they try. And if people never come across it or never use it, that's fine, but be willing to branch out further. It still feels like they have the sort of original sit back in a chair, one app at a time, slow, quiet use of the iPad that was originally shown off. And I feel like they can't shake that, or they're unwilling to.
Honestly, like working on the iPad Pro and working on the MacBook Pro has given me, I guess, maybe a fresh perspective on this. But a lot of the time, it feels like I've had this training wheels on for the past 7 years. And I ask myself what you just said, Stephen, that they need to reach this wider audience, and they don't want to complicate things too much because the iPad is used by children, is used by grandparents, and I get that. But at the same time, I also wonder, regular people of all kinds are buying laptops, are buying portable computers. They run Windows and they buy Macs, they buy MacBook Airs. It's not an unsolvable, or it's not an unsolved problem already. You already have a user base, a customer base of people purchasing computers, and not all of them are pros. You buy a MacBook Air, it's very likely you're not running Final Cut on that thing, and you're not doing 3D complex, VR building video games type of work, but you still buy a MacBook Air. And so I think Apple, they're pretty smart people, and they know how to design features for multiple audiences at the same time. Whereas with the iPad Pro, it feels, honestly, it always feels like Pro features were given to us as a favor. And you can never shake that feeling that you're begging and begging and begging, and eventually they give you the little candy and they're like, here you go. Don't you like this? And you're like, yes, more. No, not for 2 years. I'm like, okay. It's like,
Damage your teeth.
This is not even the carrot and the stick. This is like the carrot and an entire fence of sticks that you're given to us over the years.
Yeah.
And it's like, can't you just do it more regularly and not, spread apart by 2 years every single time?
Yeah, I mean, they feel so hesitant to change anything. I mean, I was just sitting here thinking as you were speaking, the Mac user interface in like 1984, that's basically what we have today, right? It's menus at the top of the screen, it's icons, it's folders, right? They sort of nailed it and have been iterating ever since. And the whole PC industry followed them for the most part. And on the iPad, I see none of that confidence from Apple. Like, I think even when they do things like Quick Note or the little button at the top of all the windows to like slide your panels around, like all that feels so like, hey, this is here if you want it, but we don't want to confuse people. Like I want to see what you think about this. I would rather Apple make a big, bold change and it not go super well, and then they have to like change it.
Oh yeah.
Than the current pace of just like poking around the edges.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like be bold. Like the enthusiasm and the passion that has transpired from the past 2 years of the new Mac line and Mac OS, that has made me look at the iPad and iPad OS in a different light. I think I don't know. I guess I don't see that passion. The iPad Pro hardware, the last exciting thing they've done was the Magic Keyboard.
Yeah.
With iPadOS 13.4. And that was honestly exciting. But then, again, it stopped. Here you go with the Magic Keyboard, and no more than this for what? It's been 2 years now. It was at the beginning of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this thing, you get one thing every couple of years, and then you're left wishing for the next 24 months. And I don't know if I have the patience for that anymore. And that makes me sad and disappointed. We go back to the beginning of this conversation. It makes me sad because even if I can be very productive and efficient on a MacBook Pro still doesn't give me that feeling of an iPad Pro, of I'm touching the computer, and if I want to, I can take it out of the keyboard, and now it's a tablet in my hands. That's what really makes me sad and bummed about this, which is this fundamentally the idea of the iPad and the iPad Pro specifically, as it is today. It is so exciting if you think about it. This computer that you hold, and then it becomes a laptop, and it could become a desktop workstation. It's got the power to run desktop software, but they're not doing it. At some point, you just gotta, pick your poison, I guess. Do you want to have the modern platform, but it's a MacBook Pro that can only ever be a MacBook Pro? Or do you want to continue believing in the iPad Pro that has the potential to be many more things in the future, and it's a tablet today, but you gotta risk it and you gotta continue believing in that potential? And I guess I'm running out of hope. That would be the conclusion. Even I can run out of hope. Well, it's sad to say, but you gotta be realistic. At some point you just gotta be realistic. And if all we get in iPadOS 16 is a new app picker, that's my reaction.
It is a bummer.
James mentioned something in the Discord. Be bold like the Safari UI. Yes, that is precisely the point. They went a little too far, but they understood that fundamentally there was something good about the idea, and they refined that. That's the process. You swing big, and maybe some things you miss, But if you know that there's something there, you keep refining it. That's what the beta cycle in the summer is for. But yeah, that's the kind of change I want to see. That's exactly what I want to see. Like, why does split view have to be the same split view of 7 years ago? Like, is there really nothing else in the entire world of modern multitasking that you can try beyond split view? I don't know.
Well, we'll just we'll have to see. More unfolds as we get closer to WWDC. Be at the intersection of developer news and features. That's what that conference is.
And sadness.
I got that expression. I feel like we cannot use it for at least 3 episodes.
I'm sure we'll remember that.
I'm sure someone will tell us.
That's true.
3 episodes from now, we can use the intersection thing again.
If you want to find links to stuff we spoke about, head on over to the show notes this week. They're at relay.fm/connected/394. While you're there, you can send us an email with feedback or follow-up. You can also join and become a member of Connected Pro, which is a longer, ad-free version of the show each and every week. This week on the pre-show, we talked about Mac Stories turning 13 and a piece of computer equipment that was left behind at the last WWDC that its fate is unknown. You can find us all on Twitter. You can find Myke on Twitter as IMYKE. Myke hosts a bunch of other shows here on Relay FM. You can find Federico on Twitter, Viticci, Viticci, and he's the editor-in-chief of MacStories.net. Automation April is still going, so stay tuned.
Still going.
Stay tuned for what the guys have in store for the rest of the month. You can find me on Twitter as ISMH, and I write at 512pixels.net. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Fitbod, Squarespace, and Capital One for making this episode possible. And until next week, guys, say goodbye.
Arrivederci.
Cheerio.
Bye, y'all.